Welcome back to my series of 120 Agile practice questions. This video is going to be the final set of questions 101 to 120. Now, these questions were part of a mock exam for my PMI-ACP certification prep course. You can see the link below for that. But you can also use them for your PMP exam prep, since PMP also includes Agile concepts and the famous Agile mindset. I'm Andrew Ramdia. I am the author of Amazon's best-selling PMP study guide, and I've taught over 600,000 students to pass their exam. Now, these questions will test your knowledge of Agile concepts, so make sure you know them well. And the Agile mindset, you can learn all about that in my Agile courses. Now, I would like if you guys can give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a lot and it's absolutely free. That helps us to produce more content like this. And with that, let's get started. Question. A project manager is facilitating a stakeholder workshop to define project requirements. To ensure the meeting runs smoothly and productively, the project manager establishes ground rules, set clear goals, manages time, and offers guidance when needed. What skill is the PM demonstrating? Preparatory leadership, facilitation, conflict resolution, workshop planning. Best answer here, guys, is going to be, now this is facilitating a meeting. One of the most important skills we're going to have to do as a project manager is to facilitate many meetings. It's not just a leadership here. This is how we manage teams. This is, notice, the meeting is running smoothly, productively. You establish certain ground rules, not just the way you're talking to people. There's nothing here in this question about conflicts happening or just planning a workshop. This here, you're running the actual workshop. Notice, and you're offering guidance when needed, so you're facilitating the workshop, making B best answer. Question. Two senior developers disagree on a design approach for a critical feature. The discussion begins as healthy debate but escalates into personal attack, each arguing that one solution will ruin the others. What level of conflict is this? Prompt to solve, level 2, disagreement, level 3, contest, level 5, world war. Now, this one here, they're not just disagreeing. Okay, they're not just disagreeing. Now they're doing personal attacks. And they're not even looking to see how this would really help. They're just saying, you're going to be bad. So this problem is beyond problem to solve. But they're not physically fighting each other. That would be 5. Right now, they're in a contest to show that my own is better than yours, making C best answer. Question. During a sprint, the development team struggles to resolve an internal disagreement about how to implement a technical feature. The Agile project manager steps in to facilitate the discussion, encourages team members to listen actively, and helps them reach a consensus without imposing a solution. What role is the Agile PM demonstrating? Product backlog manager, servant leader and coach, technical decision maker, stakeholder proxy. What you're doing here is you're facilitating, you're encouraging, you're listening actively. Best thing here, guys, is you are a servant leader and you're coaching them. Best answer. The product backlog manager, I don't know what a product backlog manager is. There really isn't such a thing, but if you meant just product of backlog, the backlog manager, the product manager, they don't do that. They don't step into meetings like that. Technical decision maker, you're not making any decision. They're making it. And you're not stepping in as someone else, which is a stakeholder proxy. Making B best answer. Question. During a team meeting, the project manager reminds the group that the success of the project depends more on how well the team collaborates than on which task management tools they use. What principle is the PM emphasizing? Process drive consistent results. Tools are required for Agile compliance. Documentation enables traceability. Individuals and interactions over processes and tools is the correct answer, as that is one of the core values of Agile. We don't look at processes, we look at people more. We don't look at tools or documentation. People are more important than all of these things. People engaging and interacting is more important than any process and tool we can have. Making D best answer. Question. A product owner is meeting with the Agile team to clarify the acceptance criteria for several backlog items. They ensure that the items are prioritized correctly and explain the release schedule during the planning session. What is the product owner primarily responsible for in this scenario? Tracking team velocity and allocating tasks, approving budget and resource usage, managing the product backlog and ensuring shared understanding, assigning story points and technical estimates. So in the world of Agile, what is it that the product owner does? The product owner is meant to maintain the product backlog. They don't assign team velocity, they don't track it, they don't assign work or budget or story points. That's what the team does. But they do manage the product backlog and ensure everybody understands the work in it. Question. Each morning, the development team gathers in the same location for a short meeting. Each member shares what they accomplished yesterday, what they're going to do today, and any blockers. What Agile practice is the team using? Sprint planning, daily scrum, sprint retrospective, or scrum of scrum. This is called the daily scrum. So the daily scrum answers these three questions, and they do this every day the team meets. Sprint planning is what they will get done in the next sprint. Sprint retrospective is what went right and wrong in the previous sprint. And the scrum of scrums is used on a bigger Agile projects for when you want team collaboration amongst different scrum teams. That's mostly used in scaled Agile or SAFe. May can be the best answer. Question. At the beginning of a new sprint, the sprint team gathers to determine what can be accomplished and how to structure their work. The project manager encourages the team to reflect on their past capacity and organize their approach. What event is the team participating in? Notice the team gather to determine what can be accomplished and the structure of their work. This is defined in the sprint planning meeting. It's in the sprint planning meeting do they determine what will get done in the next sprint. Retrospective is what went right and wrong during the previous sprint. Product backlog refinement or grooming. This is when you realign work in the product backlog based on value and you add and remove things from it. Sprint review is when the customer reviews what was built during the sprint. Question. You're working with a newly formed Agile team tasked with building an innovative product in an emerging market. Stakeholders are unsure whether the solution truly meets customer needs. What should the team do first? Begin building all planned features to deliver maximum value at launch. Schedule weekly meeting with stakeholders to review project progress. Develop a small product increment to test and validate market demand. Wait until full requirements are gathered before beginning development. Now, you notice the team is built with innovative product. All right, emerging markets. The best way to handle this is to build something small to see if it's something the market wants. You don't want to build a full-on product. Right, that would be like A&D. Because if you start doing that and then it doesn't validate, the market doesn't want it, especially something emerging, you probably wasted a lot of time and energy. Weekly meeting to review project progress. It's good to do that, but I don't know about weekly. Maybe even daily. Notice they're unsure whether it meets customer needs. The best thing to do is to build a small product and increment, like an MVP or minimum viable product. Question. An Agile team is preparing to launch a new mobile app. The marketing department wants every planned feature included in the first release to make a strong impression. However, the development team is concerned about delays and risks. The Agile manager wants to balance early delivery with stakeholders' expectations. What should the Agile PM do? Recommend releasing a minimum viable product with core functionalities. Postpone the release date to accommodate all features. Ask marketing to remove low priority features without input from the rest of the team. Build a prototype with a mock-up screen to satisfy while development continues. Now, the best thing here to do, they want every feature in the first release to make it strong. Now, the best thing here to do, because you know they're going to change their mind, is to give them an MVP. The best thing the Agile PM should recommend, now we're not saying we will do it, notice the question says recommend releasing it That way they can get immediate value instead of waiting a very long time. You shouldn't postpone it. We don't want to push all the features out. Ask marketing to remove low priority without input from the rest of the team. They should understand what the team wants. Build a prototype. Although a prototype is good, give them something they can actually find value in, not just a screen mock-up. There's not much value in screen mock-up other than a shared understanding. They actually can use it and see value. Question 8. Scrum team is preparing for the next development cycle. The product owner confirms the team will remain unchanged and no mid-sprint adjustments will be accepted once work begins. The team sets a 3-week window to produce a potentially shippable product. What situations is this described? Daily scrum, backlog grooming, sprint, scrum of scrums. Best answer here, guys. This basically is a sprint or iteration. They commit to generally 2 to 4 weeks. They're going to build the product, confirms you're not going to change them. There's no adjustment needed. And they're going to start working to produce the shippable product. That is the sprint. The daily scrum is a meeting they do on a daily basis. Backlog grooming is when you reprioritize or remove things from the product backlog. And if you work in massively large teams, and there's many scrum teams, you may have scrum of scrums, as you would on Scaled Agile, making C the best answer. Question. During a daily stand-up, the project manager notices a usually energetic developer is unusually quiet, avoids eye contact, and finishes updates quickly without offering inputs. What should the PM do to support the team and maintain a healthy team environment? Wait until the next sprint to see if performance changes. Publicly ask the developer during the meeting to elaborate. Privately check in with the developer to better understand any unspoken concerns. Escalate the observation to HR to assess potential personal issues. Now, the answer here is C. I don't want to point out that if there is a problem on an Agile project where it's about one person or one group, go and meet that one person or one group only. Don't bring the entire team into it. Especially don't do it publicly, and don't wait for something to happen. And don't give away the problem. You as a project manager should work with your team. You shouldn't be bringing in HR into it first. They can see the best answer. Question. During a sprint review, stakeholders express concern that a critical feature demonstrated by the team is not aligned with their expectations. The feature works, but it does not address the business need they originally described. What should the PM do to ensure future deliverables better align with stakeholders' expectations? Facilitate more frequent and collaborative backlog refinement sessions with the stakeholders. Ask stakeholders to clarify their expectations in writing before the next sprint. Instruct the team to add more documentation and user stories to clarify deliverables. Limit stakeholders' involvement until further product increments are fully developed. So this is a good question. It has a good set of answers. Let's go through it. Notice they express concern that a critical demonstrated by the team is not aligned. This feature works, but is not addressing the need. Okay. So the best answer here, guys, and you got to read this one carefully. Best answer here, guys, is A. You want a more collaborative refinement sessions with all the stakeholders. That way everybody understands everything. Ask the state to clarify in writing. They don't necessarily need to do it in writing. Instruct the team to add more documentations. This eliminates this. Agile doesn't want you to do pure documentation. I like the part about user stories, but just added more documentation. And you don't want to limit their involvement. In fact, we need more of their involvement in here, making A better answer than C or D. Question. An Agile team has been receiving inconsistent feedback from stakeholders, leading to misunderstanding about what features should be included and when they are considered complete. What should the PM do to align the team and stakeholders around a common understanding? Create a communication management plan to regulate stakeholder input. Establish a shared vision, utilizing tools like Agile modeling, personas, definition of done. Extend the iteration length to allow more time for clarification. Allow each team member to interpret stakeholder needs independently. Best answer here, guys, is going to be B. That is correct. So whether we're, one of the main thing here is definition of done. We want that shared vision. Communication management plan is used in traditional projects, not agile. Extend, you don't extend iterations. Something maybe the team member may want to do, but not you. Allow each team member to interpret stakeholders. No, they need a shared vision. Not everybody has different visions of it. Making B the best answer. Question. An agile project manager notices that team members hesitate to suggest new approaches during retrospectives. The manager wants to foster a more creative and committed team environment. What should the PM do first? Establish a safe environment for experimentation and disagreement. Begin tracking all suggested improvements on a visible backlog. Assign each team member a turn to propose a new idea in each retrospective. Organize mandatory brainstorming session during each sprint review. Best answer here, guys. Notice, team member, they hesitate to do new things. You know why? Because they might be prosecuted, and you don't want prosecution. You want them to experiment. We welcome experimentation. Experimentation is good, and if they know they're not going to be prosecuted because you built a safe environment, it's part of our agile leadership, they're more than likely to do it. You just don't want to begin tracking all suggested on a visible log. Make that safe environment. Let them try it. You don't need to just put it in a log. And you just don't want each team member a turn. That means one turn people get. Don't make anything mandatory. Make an A the best answer. Question. During a sprint review, a stakeholder asks why the team is seeking feedback on a partially completed product. How should the project manager explain the purpose of this? To verify completion of the sprint backlog, formally close the sprint. To gather input before the full product is built, using complete increments to refine direction. To validate the business case before continuing development of remaining backlog items. To demonstrate the team's productivity and ensure no backlog items are missed. Why do we seek feedback on partially completed items? Because we want to make sure we're doing it right. We want to make sure we're heading in the right direction. We don't want to make sure we're heading in the wrong direction. It's not just done to close the sprint. You can't close, right? Formally close the sprint. There's no really such thing as formally closing the sprint. To validate the business case before continued development of remaining, it partially completed work may or may not validate the completed business case yet because it's partially completed. But we want to make sure we're just going in the right direction. To demonstrate the productivity, well, we just don't show how great the team is. We're doing it to see if we're heading in the right direction for the customer. Making B best answer. Question. A business representative working with an extreme programming team is actively involved in defining requirements, prioritizing features, and ensuring the project delivers value. What role is this person? So this person in the extreme programming is called the customer. The customer in Scrum we call them more like the product owner. So is the customer, not the programmer or the tester. Programmers and customers, people that develop, people that test the software. The coach is the Agile PM. This is the customer. Question. A new team member asks for clarification on the primary artifacts used in Scrum. What should the project manager explain as the key artifacts the team used to plan, track, and deliver work during the sprint? Burn-up charts, working agreement, scope statement, release plan, team charter, status report, product backlog, sprint backlog, product increment. Lesson learned, register, traceability matrix, and quality report. Now, some of these here are straight up traditional projects, and some of them are really pure agile. So, scope statement is traditional. Status report, release. Although team charter and release planning are part of agile, status report not so much, but this is all agile. And traceability matrix, quality reports, those are all going to be in traditional. You can see the best answer. Question. During a project kickoff, the team realizes that strict adherence to a single agile methodology will not meet stakeholders' expectation. due to compliance and documentation needs. They decide to integrate Agile delivery with traditional project control to satisfy flexibility. What Agile concept is this? Retrospective feedback, servant leadership, Agile model, and process tailoring. So this falls under the branch of process tailoring. In other words, you're customizing the approach to best meet the needs of the project and business. There's different kinds of Agile models out there, but it's not about the Agile approach. This is different. This is not about leading the team. This is just about choosing a methodology. And retrospective is gaining feedback on what happened in previous sprint. This is a methodology question versus any of those. Make indeed the best answer. Question. A team is using an Agile method that emphasizes software development best practices, such as continuous feedback, simplicity, and frequent code delivery. The project manager supports work prioritization, but the development team focuses heavily on technical practices like test-driven development and peer programming. What Agile method is this? It should be a giveaway because notice, test-driven development and peer programming is part of extreme programming. Not Kanban, not Lean. Scaled Agile is more like Scrum. So the best answer here is A. Question. A team is about to begin a complex high-risk project. To proactively prepare for challenges, the project manager organizes a meeting where the team imagines the project has failed, discusses potential causes, and identifies actions that could prevent those failures. What practice is the team applying? Root cause analysis, lessons learned sessions, risk-adjusted backlog planning, or pre-mortem analysis, which is what that is. So in this one here, you're looking at, hey, you're trying to understand what can cause the project to fail before it even starts, before the sprint starts. And that's what your pre-mortems are all about. Root cause analysis looks for why something would fail, but the root cause of something in particular, not just the entire project. It's not a lesson learned session. They're imagining. Risk-adjusted backlog, this is readjusting the backlog for risk. This is just looking at why something may fail, which is basically the definition there of pre-mortems.